It has been part of the American Western landscape for over 100 years. When Levi Strauss crafted his first pair of pants, how could he have known he'd start a denim revolution? Now with me this morning, I have Tracey Panek. She's Levi Strauss and company historian, along with Maria Tucker, the president of the Society of Rocky Mountain Archivists. And look at this, we have our gloves on to make sure that we're doing okay. What does a corporate historian like you do?
I manage the Levi Strauss and Company archives. It's the world's best collection of Levi's vintage clothing, and I get to work with designers, executives, and other managers who get to see our collection.
And we're going to go through the collection that you brought here today. That's why we're wearing our gloves, because we have to be so careful with them. But before we do that, tell me about Levi Strauss. What kind of man was he?
He was an adventurer. He left home when he was a teenager in Bavaria, came to America, and during the gold rush ended up in San Francisco.
Wow.
And he was there that set up a business. A year after he arrived in San Francisco in 1853, he donated some of his first profits to it was an orphanage, and became a very well-known philanthropist in San Francisco.
That's wonderful. Pass it on, pay it forward to others. And is it true he would sell to miners?
Levi Strauss and Company manufactured the first blue jeans in 1873, and they were making them for working men, from miners to ranchers and cowboys. And
that's going to reflect some of the cowboys on what we see here today. Go through what you brought. I think it's pretty interesting.
It all started with rivets, Denise, and the rivets are here on this earliest pair that I brought. These were found in a mine in southwest Colorado, the Commodore mine, and you can see those copper rivets that make these. This is the original 501 blue jean, and it has all of the elements of the blue jean and some interesting ones that are different as well. Vintage ones have a crotch rivet here, and also something unusual on the back side, a cinch, and this is what they use to size it. Of course, the leather patch that we know.
And this is the one that dates back to 1938?
1938.
How do you know that?
We know from some specific elements. We know from the tab that was introduced in 1936, and the cinch is still here, something that came off during World War II.
Very interesting. Okay, so moving on to the next pair that you brought here today.
Yeah, and you can help me hold this one up. This is one that was made in the 1940s during World War II. It has some of the same elements that we just looked at, but it is missing some of them. The copper rivets on the watch pocket were removed. That was a way that we could save materials like metal during World War II. There is a patch on this. Our jeans were used and reused, and then on the back side, something interesting as well. When we look here, the patch that we know on our 501s is still there, but what's missing is that cinch from the earliest ones.
So what year is this from?
44, World War II.
My gosh,
aren't they in great shape?
These are in really good shape, and you know what? Kids like pay to have these holes in them now.
Pay to have them distressed, and here's the other amazing thing. When you look, you can see the shadow of a pair of chaps that the person wore.
Oh, wow, that is really cool. I didn't know what that was. Very nice. Maria, let's get you in on this. Tell me a little bit what you find interesting about our Western history.
Sure. I think that our Western history is so diverse. We, you know, Colorado, from the earliest inhabitants with Native American groups that were first here, to the people who moved here to build Colorado and to work and make our wonderful state. So the diversity of our state is just wonderful in the history.
And the 2015 Western Roundup of Western Archivists is happening right now.
It is.
Visitors are allowed to come see?
You know, it is a professional archivist conference, and so we really are focusing on bringing archivists from around the western United States to convene to learn about education and preservation and the things that are entailed in preserving our history and making them available to the public. And so we will be out touring, seeing some of the historic sites in Denver, and really learning about that. But I encourage people who are interested to visit their local archives and connect with their history.
What do you think is the best part about your job?
You know, I love working with people and connecting history to their stories, and then also preservation. I mean, it's stories like this with Levi's, with making sure that we save our history for our future. It's just very important to me to make sure that for future generations we have these stories available.
Absolutely. And I think it's so interesting that you can actually tell what year it came from in the history. How do you authenticate it?
We authenticate it from the design elements, especially. We can look at something and tell just the way they were created because of those elements.
Tell me about this jacket here.
This jacket, also from Colorado, it was worn by a guy that grew up here in Colorado. He was a rodeo bull rider. He wore this when he was in the chute before he would go out on the bull. He would use the jacket to wipe off any moisture that was on the rope that he held, and then after he came back from the ride, he would use the jacket to wipe off any kind of an injury you have that he would have. So you can see all of the stains that he has, all of the wear. They tell a great story.
What year do you think this is?
So these are, he rode on the bulls 1990s, so it's fairly new, but look at all the wear. He loved this pair.
Yes, and warm, you can tell inside. Yep. And then finally, what are we looking at down here?
Last piece, a newer piece from 1995, still the rodeo theme. This time we've got rodeo clowns who had a reunion in Colorado Springs in '95.
Interesting. Well, this is very fun, and if people want to see for themselves and find out more about Levi Strauss and the history, where can they go?
Go to levi.com, Levi.com, look for history or about the company, and you can get some great information.
Well, pleasure, ladies. Thank you for giving us a sneak peek. Can't believe 1938, a pair of jeans. The archives are opened and you can be part of it all, including the fascinating presentation by Levi Strauss and Company. For more information and registration, details for workshops, and of course tours during the 2015 Western Roundup Conference, please go to this website. It's srmarchivist.org, srmarchivist.org.